Friends, ravers and fellow travellers, it is an honour to be here and to see so many of you. For some, this is a night of pure nostalgia, a chance to look back at a time that defined our lives. For others, particularly those who came of age in the new millennium, this is a history lesson, a glimpse into a world that at times feels like a fever dream. I want to talk about the excitement, the kind of raw, unadulterated joy that can only come from a secret shared experience. I want to talk about the feelings that you were part of something so big, so unifying, that it was impossible to define until you were standing in the middle of it. This is a story about how a sound from a tiny Spanish island sparked a social revolution in Britain, how it reached an impossible peak, and how, in its wake, British social life has never quite been the same again. To understand rave, you have to understand the Britain of the late 1980s, a country battered and bruised by the political landscape of the Thatcher era. There was a palpable sense of division, miners' strikes, unemployment, a feeling of them and us. Mainstream culture felt sterile, corporate and disconnected. But away from the national conversation, a new noise was bubbling up from the underground. It started with a handful of visionary DJs returning from a holiday in Ibiza. They had experienced a new kind of music, a hypnotic, repetitive beat known as acid house. It wasn't the slick, polished dance music of the time. It was raw, minimalist, and built on the squelchy, mesmerising sound of the Roland TB-303 bass synthesizer and the relentless rhythm of the TR-909 drum machine. It was a blank canvas, ready for a generation to project its hopes and dreams onto. Initially, these were small, illicit gatherings in warehouses, abandoned buildings and basements. The secrecy was the key ingredient. There were no tickets, no advertising. Word spread through a network of flyers and, most importantly, through an anonymous phone number. You'd ring it, a distorted voice would give you instructions, often deliberately vague, and you'd feel this rush of adrenaline. You were now part of the tribe. And what was the ethos of this tribe? It was simple, yet profound. Plur. Peace, love, unity, respect. In an era defined by social friction, rave culture was a radical act of inclusion. Everyone was welcome. It didn't matter what you looked like, how much money you had, or where you came from. The dance floor was a melting pot, a sea of faces, all united by the beat. There was no VIP section, no social hierarchy, just a single pulsating rhythm. As the scene exploded, the warehouses couldn't hold us. We moved out to the M25 orbital motorway, transforming the entire ring road into a kind of nocturnal pilgrimage. Thousands of cars would converge, following coded directions, only to find themselves pulling into a muddy field in the middle of nowhere, where the magic was about to happen. The aesthetic was an expression of this freedom. Baggy clothes, because you needed to move. Smiley faces, because happiness was the uniform. White gloves, because the light shows were mesmerising. Whistles, because what else could you do to express that much energy? We danced, we connected, and we found a communal sense of self in the collective effervescence. And yes, for many, this experience was augmented. Ecstasy, known as the love drug, played a significant role. It broke down inhibitions, heightened empathy, and fostered a sense of profound connection between strangers. It's impossible to tell this story honestly without acknowledging this fact. But it's crucial to understand that the drug didn't create the culture, it amplified the culture's inherent ethos of unity and love. The golden age from the late 80s to the early 90s felt like it would last forever. The events became bigger, the production more professional. Super brands like Fantasia, Helter Skelter and Dreamscape emerged. selling out stadiums with lineups of legendary DJs. But it was in 1994 that we reached the peak. Not the peak of popularity, that was already established, but the peak of defiance. The government, alarmed by the size and defiance of the movement, introduced the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act of 1994. Section 63 was the killer blow. It defined rave as an event with music characterised by the emission of a succession of repetitive beats. The law was absurdly vague, but its intention was clear: to kill the party. This was the moment the dream was legislated out of existence. It forced the scene back underground and, more significantly, fractured it. The massive, all-encompassing gatherings of thousands were now impossible. The rave scene didn't die overnight, but it changed. The illegal parties shrank, the superclubs took over, and with that commercialisation, the magic began to fade. The spontaneous joy of a field rave was replaced by the predictable security and high price of a nightclub. The culture was splintered into smaller, more niche scenes. Jungle, drum and bass, gabba, the unity was gone, replaced by a growing focus on genre and cliques. As the rave generation moved on, something fundamental was lost in British social life. We entered an era of digital disconnection. We traded the physical, shared experiences of the dance floor for the virtual, fragmented experience of the internet. We replaced communal ritual with individual consumption. Think about it. We've gone from thousands of people united in a field to thousands of people staring at their own phone screens, each curating a perfect but lonely existence. The collective effervescence that defined rave culture has not been replaced by anything equivalent. We are more connected than ever, yet arguably more isolated. The spontaneous, joyous rebellion that brought strangers together has been replaced by carefully planned, curated social events that, for all their gloss, lack the genuine, raw human connection we all crave. We have lost the ability to collectively lose ourselves, to surrender to the moment in a shared space. So to those who were there, let's not just reminisce about the music, let's remember the unity, the feeling that for one night we were all the same, we were all family. And to those who weren't, I hope you can grasp what we're talking about. The power of a shared, unmediated experience. A time when a simple, repetitive beat could create a social phenomenon that transcended class, race and background. It's a reminder of what's possible when we choose to connect with each other, when we put down our guards and simply dance. The beat may have changed and the fields may be quiet, but the spirit of peace, love, unity and respect lives on in all of us who were there. And to all of you who seek that same genuine connection, thank you.
All my people in the place! Let's go! Let's go! Yo! Let's go! Let's go!
Everybody is in the place. Everybody is in the place. Everybody is in the place.
All my people in the place!
Everybody is in the place. Let's go.
It ain't coming yet!
Let's go.